We are now recording the October 11th, 2019 Small Business Accounting Advisors. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Crazy weather, cray weather out today. And Shannon, you're getting snow. And Linda, you're going to tell us the craziness in California.
Yeah, we have what's called, and it's interesting, they call them Santa Ana winds. But that's not really what they are. They're really Santana winds. It's a weather phenomena where the winds go clockwise, the way a clock goes, and it brings cold air from up, and it brings it fast through the canyons. And as it goes through the canyons, it goes really fast, and then it goes kind of out to the ocean. It's like backwards from usual. Usual, the stuff comes in from the ocean and kind of creeps slowly through going east. This is coming from the east and heading west. And it goes very fast and very gusty. And what happens is if any spark starts a fire, especially at this time of the year, we've had some rain, the vegetation has grown, and the spark takes off like you would not believe it. If you never saw it happen, you would not believe a fire could go so far so fast. Like it'll go the length of a football field in like 5 seconds. And you're there and you're going like, whoa. And what happened with the fire that started out near me that burned through a trailer park, and I think it burned like 80 trailers, and it was threatening another one. For some reason, somebody was driving a trash truck, and so it was a trash man driving a trash truck, and there was a fire in the trash truck, in the garbage and the trash in the truck. And I think whoever it was thinking in terms of, oh my goodness, my trash truck is going to burn up. And so they dumped the trash on the side of the freeway, not thinking. And I'll bet they'd never actually seen one of these fires take off. And so the wind hit that burning trash, and it went the length of a football field in like 10 seconds. And when it does that, it's like it starts all these spot fires ahead of it, and then it spreads, and if there's a canyon, it goes through the canyon, and it just kind of roars through the canyon. And it'll like, well, the other thing that's interesting is the fires will hop, skip, and jump around, and there's no rhyme nor reason to the hop, skipping, and jumping. So one house will burn and 2 houses won't, and then 2 houses will burn and 1 house won't, and it just hops and skips and jumps. Now it happened over closer to Duane, up in a place called Sylmar. I don't know that they determined how that one started, but again, that one started, and because the winds are blowing steady at 35 miles an hour with gusts of like up to 50, it catches whatever's on fire. It like lifts it up and it just throws it through the air. And all these burning spots land different places. And then instead of having 1 burning fire, you have 20 burning fires. And that one started at night. The one out near me in Calamasa started during the daytime. Right. But the one at night, and it went near a horse barn or something, and somebody had let the horses out, and they were kind of running around crazy. Like, I didn't see it, but I listened to it on the radio. And people were trying to round them up and save them. I'm not quite sure. Do you know more about the one out near you in Sylmar?
Well, the thing is that a lot of the vegetation that are up in the mountains and stuff are very dry, very arid.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like fuel. And the Santa Ana winds, even though, as she described it, they're warm, though. They're not cold. They're very
they start,
warm.
But then they warm up. Yeah, they
That's
get
right.
very hot.
They warm up. So then when they hit the arid vegetation, it just sparks up like matches.
That's incredible. And this, what I've recently heard is they've got power outages.
Up north.
Matthew was going through that a little bit.
Oh, they have some of that down here too. The reason It's the power lines. Many of them are not insulated. And
Right.
so when these winds blow, if
Right.
the winds blow and they knock a branch over, the branch may fall into one of these uninsulated power lines, and then you get sparks.
Sparks
Then
up in
you
the
get
fire.
this. So a lot of the power's turned off down here too, because in the past, the PG&E ended up, their defective equipment started that fire in Paradise last year that killed like 80 people. And sorry, there's a motorcycle outside. He enjoys revving his engine.
You know, a lot of these areas when those conditions do have the capability of generating what they call a fire tornado, which is really kind of interesting to see. Very unique.
Yes.
I don't want to see one of them up close.
No, you don't.
Fine by me.
No, you don't.
So prayers to everybody in California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just started last night and has already spread 4,700 acres, which is pretty fast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, stay safe, guys. Stay safe.
Yeah.
So this week, we're going to change gears a little bit. We've learned something new with QBO that's come out with no fanfare. I had to hear from it by one of our other pro advisors, the Business Performance tab. So this is a look at a QuickBooks Pro Advisor view, because this is only for pro advisors. In the actual clients, they do not get this. This is one of the benefits for the pro advisors. So in addition to your overview on your tab on your left-hand side, they've always had that overview, and then they've had bookkeeping overview. And that's a list of, this is an empty file, so we don't really have anything in here. But I look at this regularly. What it tells me is basically I'm looking at bank accounts. When was the last time it was reconciled? How many transactions since it's been reconciled? And a lot of other really cool information. Well, this week we now have the Business Performance tab. Lots of cool stuff there. This is empty, but I love the trends. The trends will give you a graph of the profit and loss and the net profit margin. And then you can drill into those. And then you get other things like income and expenses and accounts payable, accounts receivable, cool stuff like the current ratio and the quick ratio. So
Nice.
For all of the pro advisors, start looking at this, start checking it out, because you can tell your clients things and help them in ways that, you know, they may not really expect.
Yeah, and some of this stuff, it looks like it's stuff that we used to have to connect to a cash flow management tool to just have it at nicely graphed like this, because I can tell by looking here that it's got dots and lines. If it were to have actual information in there, that it would be a line graph.
Yep, exactly.
And I mean, you can view the balance sheet, you can view the profit and loss statement, and I think this would be really useful, and it would be way more exciting if it wasn't an empty file.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, anything that I could show you would be client information that I can't view publicly. But I love the trends. The trends show you in a line graph format actual data and then projected data. So that's really awesome. So, all righty. So next, what are we talking about next? 1, 2, 3. Linda Russell had a question about entering owner expenses.
Right, where the owner, like, instead of using their business account, they carry a lot of cash around that they get out of their personal monies, their personal checking account and that. And they many times go and pay cash, or they use one of their personal credit cards to pay for expenses like Costco gas and that. And that's not something that we would download from the bank into QuickBooks Online, because we're not going to connect up their personal bank account. Now, this particular client is a three-way partnership. There's a father, a daughter, and a nephew. The three of them work together. And so we have income, we have services income from each of the three of them, and we have expenses that are, if they might have an expense that was their own expense, and we do that by classes, or if there's something that's like the whole business, and we call that all Takaya, because the name of
So
the
you have
company's
classes set up for them.
Yes, so we could get a profit and loss by class.
Okay, so Linda, do they have a accountable plan set up for the business?
I was just going to ask that, Dwayne.
Do they have the what?
Do they have an accountable plan set up for the business?
I don't know. Since I started working with them last February, it's been like pulling teeth in order to get them to meet.
Find out.
I keep telling them over and over and over again, you have to get somebody to do your taxes, because how we set this up needs to be set up for the way your tax preparer needs it set up.
Right.
Not for me.
Dwayne,
I know.
will you explain an accountable plan for us?
Thank
for
you.
those that don't
Well,
know?
either me or Shannon can do it, but we could do it together.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Good, do that.
Okay, let's do it together, Shannon. Okay, so what we're going to do is that they need to have an understanding between them as individuals and the company as an entity as to how they're going to be reimbursed for the business-related expenses that they incur personally. And basically, that's what an accountable plan is. But it's a formal plan that has to be set up, it has to be put on paper, and everybody has to agree upon it. Right, Shannon?
Right, and usually, and I didn't think of it earlier because almost all of my bookkeeping clients are sole proprietor or single member LLC, and they don't need an accountable plan. But anytime you pay for something for your business out of your personal account, and you're a partnership or an S Corp or an entity similar to that, you have to have something in writing where you're requesting that the company pay you back.
Right.
It's kind of like when you build a house and you're requesting the money from the bank to reimburse you for expenses. So it's very similar to that, and that is the best way to get those expenses on the books, is to have an accountable plan and then attach it to the check that gets reimbursed.
Okay, so they need to set up policies and procedures for how they're going to do that, and each individual, they're going to have to track their expenses so that they have like a report or something that they submit formally to the company to be reimbursed for those expenses.
So
Right,
do you have anywhere that a template might be available for an accountable plan?
Tax Tools Small Business has an accountable plan template.
I'm sorry, repeat that?
Tax Tools has a software called Small Business Tax Tools, and it has an accountable plan template in that software.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah, and
Linda,
some companies
you are
call
muted.
Hmm?
Linda was muted. I'm trying to unmute her.
and some companies call it an expense reimbursement.
And
Right.
that's how I have always
Is
treated
Tax
it.
Tools a software that you buy?
Yes.
You
Okay.
may be able to find this at the
But
IRS
Linda-
Small
Linda,
Business site.
Google accounting plan on Google and see if you can get one that you don't necessarily have to pay any money for.
I have told these clients repeatedly, they need to do this. I've told them repeatedly that what they are doing is, many people do it illegally and it is fraud. And that they need to understand that when they do this way, many people, when they do it that way, are defrauding other people. And so you have to get it set up, and you have to work with your tax accountant to get it set up properly so that it's not looking that way. I know you're not doing that. But
Okay.
you need to, and if you don't have a tax person you're working with, it's like, and I said, is everything, oh yes, we have everything in writing, and I've never seen it.
Okay, well,
It's like,
So
they
why are
tell
they
you what
still-
they want to tell you, and then they think that they're covered, and they're just throwing their money to the winds.
well, you can
So-
tell them this. If they don't have a system to where they can formally reimburse themselves for the business expenses that they incur, then you can't post the business expenses as business expenses.
But I'm not a bookkeeper, and I am not doing that.
They're
I
doing
am
their own
teaching
book.
them how to do it.
Okay, well, tell them that.
See,
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, you could just let them know that if they don't have records of what they've incurred for the year, okay, and they're not incorporating that into their financial statements, then that means that their tax liability is going to be a lot higher.
I have told them that repeatedly.
Exactly. So
Exactly,
in the
over and over and over again. So would any of you like to do their taxes, and then I will refer you to them?
I don't do taxes, so no, not me.
I don't do taxes either,
Well,
and I
okay.
can't advise
Do you-
somebody on taxes.
Okay, do you have a tax person close to you?
I know people that do taxes. I know people that I use to do my taxes.
Okay, well, you can maybe bounce it off of them first, okay?
Yeah, you know,
Because
and if they're a difficult
They're
client,
close to
find one you
and they're
don't
close
like.
to your client. And then see if you can set up a meeting between you, the tax person, and your client. And then see if you can get your client to kind of focus in to see how important this is.
Yeah,
in the meantime,
I'm
Linda,
thinking I need to just give some of their money back and resign and say, look it, you, for whatever reason, you're not understanding what I'm saying. See, they want me to teach them how to keep their books the way they want to keep their books.
Oh,
And I
That's the
keep
way
saying,
everybody does.
no, we can't
but,
do
but in
that.
the
you
meantime,
say,
what
you
you
say
can
it doesn't
do,
work like that.
Linda,
I know.
what you can do is get an expense account. You know how you do that on Excel? And get them used to doing that. Like every time they spend something and keep the receipt.
They're not going to do that.
Then,
I know them. I have tried all this repeatedly. I'm trying to find a way they could enter into QBO. I'm thinking if I had 3 petty cash accounts, one for
yeah,
each
but
one
you
of
don't
the
even
part-
need to make it that complicated.
No,
Write them
'cause
a
if-
check.
And if they're a
To
partnership,
reimburse
they
them.
can't do it that
You have
way.
to understand, they don't do anything on paper, nothing. They want to do it on their phone. That's why the way they want to do it is on their phone. And I don't work on my phone.
That's
What about prepaid expense cards or something like that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what, Matthew?
Maybe
Prepaid.
prepaid expense cards. So if you have like where you can refill them and you just have it to where if each person has a different card, right? That could be used
They
to track
do
They
not
transactions.
want-
business bank accounts and they want to spend cash is,
They
Linda was
I didn't
don't
hear that
want
part.
that.
yeah.
See, that's where they've got to get to a tax person, and they it's like they're refusing everything. They're saying, no, we can't do it that way. We're doing it this way. And I say, well, then you need to find a tax person who will work with doing it your way.
Or they need to be stung and then they'll realize that they have to do what's right and comply.
Yeah, probably they will, but I just want to get out of this. I want to put them, give them
Yeah,
something
the
in
best-
writing and say very clearly, I started working with these guys in February.
Well, what you
We
have
didn't
to,
work at all during June, July, August, or September because they're too busy.
yeah, so all you can tell them
They don't
is
have time for
what the
finance.
rules are, what the compliance is, and you
No, they
only work
don't.
with compliance,
Got
so
it.
you're gonna send them on to someone else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
It's
what
time
I'll
to cut them
say.
loose if they're not going
And
to.
I've suggested that maybe what they need to get is a bookkeeper, and I'm not a bookkeeper. If they don't want to follow the rules and keep the books, then that's fine. Then they can hire a bookkeeper to do it and just give the paper to her. So they just think it's a lot easier than it is. They don't understand all the laws and the compliance issues. That, you know,
And they're living in California.
they bought an iPad with cash. They took cash out of their business checking account, bought an iPad, never got a receipt, didn't get the name of the person who sold it to them. that they gave the cash money to? $690.
Well, you know what?
They think they
Them,
can
so
write
it
that
doesn't
off.
You know, there's an old saying, bought sense is better than none. Okay.
What kind of sense?
Bought sense is better than none, meaning that, you know, once they feel the pain of the tax liability they will have when the IRS gets a hold of them, then they
Yeah.
realize that there are rules and regulations that they need to adhere to. Okay?
Yeah, and I also suggested, because it's in their mind that, well, to start a business is the way to go. And instead of having a sole proprietorship for each one of the three of them, to put it together in one. And I said, when you put it together in one, it's a lot more complicated.
Right.
You know, because of the accountable plan and everything. I didn't call it an accountable plan, but I said you need to have an agreement, a legal agreement between the three of you.
This is a partnership, right? Or LLC?
Sounds like
They have not
business.
shown me one piece of paper. I think personally it's all in their head. Okay.
Oh, get away from it
Okay.
as
Well, that
quickly as you
changes
can.
everything.
Yeah, these are people that are friends through other.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
so
know.
because usually before I'll start working with somebody, I want to see their articles of incorporation and their
Yeah.
SS4 and a bunch of other stuff, just so I know how to keep the books properly.
Right.
And
Well, they don't have any kind of a corporation. They don't have any kind of an LLC. They are, in their mind, it's three of them as partners. And to me, that would be a 1065.
yeah, but if
Right.
they don't have
That's
anything
right.
legally drawn up, then they're
Yeah.
just three sole proprietors that are keeping one set of books.
Oh, okay. See, that's what I don't know as somebody who doesn't do taxes.
I don't do taxes either.
So it sounds
Well,
like they just want somebody to
Okay,
kind of
Are
loosely
these,
track their
is this
expenses.
a husband and
income.
wife deal or no?
No, it's a father, a daughter, and a nephew.
Well, then Shannon's right. They probably would have to file as three separate sole proprietors. Because
And then they need three
formalize-
separate
That
sets
was
of
my
books.
thought. And
Yeah.
then they could each do, but
Do they have any kind of written agreement that they're in partnership?
they say they do. I've never seen it.
Linda can't get any paperwork from these guys.
No, and they don't have time to
cut your
get together
losses.
in that. I think I just need to cut my.
They're not serious. You know what? You should say you don't think they're running a business. They have a hobby.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
And
I
you don't work
think
like
so.
that. You're not going to be caught up in that. And, you know,
yeah.
When it gets to
Without
that
I
point.
can't work with them without a tax person. Because
right.
I don't think they're going to be able to find a tax person who can do this. Now, the daughter seemed to understand what I was saying about a lot of people do this kind of thing as fraud. She seemed to understand that that could easily be seen as that. But the father is like, he's very innocent. He's Asian and he's very innocent and he just, I don't know, he's very calm and
How old is he?
He's probably in his 60s. She's probably in her 40s, and the nephew might be in the 40s or 30s.
And the nephew
So-
you don't really hear from?
I worked with him one time. He's pretty smart. They both do a lot of things, you know. Looks like the daughter will actually keep the books, but I don't think she understands that today I brought up to him, I said, if this is a business, have you contacted the Small Business Administration? Have you contacted the SBDC, Small Business Development Center? Have you contacted SCORE? Have you gotten some help with a business entity, setting it up? And it's like, see, in the back of their minds, they know this guy that does taxes, he lives in Oregon. And I said, well, you can have somebody in Oregon do your taxes. That's not a problem.
Dennis.
If they California
It's got to
taxes.
be Dennis.
but I said,
Dennis
if you
gets all the good clients.
But if you don't talk to them, they don't know what you're thinking. You have to actually communicate with them and communicate to them what you're thinking and make an agreement with them. Say, yes, I'll do your taxes. You know, you don't even know if it's somebody who works in QBO. I said, we can add another accountant, a free user, you know?
Send them to
And,
QuickBooks Live.
Yeah, definitely.
They could get that, but they don't have any income, basically. They're just spending money. And they don't understand
This
that
is a hobby.
spending money.
This is not a business.
That's
Oh,
what
yeah,
I'm
I'm
thinking.
serious. I'm serious.
They're
It's
employees.
even worse than repaying expenses. This is a
Yeah.
hobby. They're not doing
It
it
is.
properly. They really have no
Right.
intention of following any kind of anything anyone tells them. They're going to just do what they want to do. That's a hobby.
And
Yeah,
they're
and
going to
they're not
drag
gonna be
down
able to
whoever tries to help them. So you don't want to
Yeah.
get drug into this.
No, I don't. I'll just return their money and
Sorry, Linda. Wish it was
say,
a better
yeah,
method.
no, I can see that. You know, sometimes it really helps to get somebody else's point of view on this because, you know, it just, I'm not a bookkeeper and I'm not an accountant and I'm not a tax person. I just set up QuickBooks systems. And I may be, the person I'm working with Matthew with, we may have a problem there too because she's not seemingly able to categorize her deposits. So now I finally, when I sent her an email 2 weeks ago saying we have to meet, you keep telling people we have to meet. We can't do this without meeting. They don't seem to get that. And then the woman comes back to me a week later. She replies, "Oh, I'll be back in town after October 16th."
Yeah.
And I notice on Facebook, she went to San Diego and Coronado and the Hotel Coronado for a couple of weeks.
Well, and you bring up a good point, Linda, there, because I'm doing a cleanup for somebody, and we had 2 1-hour-long Zoom meetings,
Yeah.
and she was really irritated that I had so many questions. I'm like, okay, I can just kind of guess, but that's not. I need to learn what your business is all about, and there's a. At the beginning is very labor intensive.
It is.
To get everything set up and get it all set up correctly. And because I'm like, if I'm going to guess, it looks like you've made $145,000, but in QuickBooks, only 72,000 made it into QuickBooks. And if you're just giving me Excel spreadsheets from Eventbrite, that's what I get.
Yes, yes.
And then,
and I think a lot of people, they look at it and they say, oh, but this is so easy. But they don't know all of the laws and everything that we're taking into account. You know, like I told him, he said, well, I spent $70 cash on that and I didn't get a receipt. I've no proof that I did that, you know? And I said, well, the IRS doesn't require a receipt if it's less than $75.
don't tell them that.
Yeah, I would
was
never
gonna say that.
ever, ever.
No.
Next time,
Because
see if
there
this,
are
Even if
circumstances
it's 5
where,
cents, get a receipt.
the next time,
where
see,
under 75 receipts are required. There are circumstances. It's not.
Well, right, and especially if they're trying to write off a whole bunch of stuff under $75.
Right, they'll just
that is
make everything
cash.
under $75.
Right.
I didn't pay for that $500 expense. I paid it for it $75 at a time. So
ten payments of
Yeah.
$70 each.
You
Yeah.
want to
Oh,
encourage.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, see, and that's
Linda,
another way people do
Linda,
fraud.
you want to encourage a certain behavior pattern that will be conducive to help you in what you're doing. And that means that you want to make sure they give you as much documentation as possible.
Yeah,
Got
no
it.
receipt,
So
no deduction.
actually, it sounds like the problem is I don't do bookkeeping or accounting. And so I don't really care.
Oh, okay.
That's
Just
why I
tell
keep
them.
saying you're tax person.
right.
Right.
Just next time, tell them anything that don't worry, the IRS does not require receipt for anything that you bought for yourself.
Yep.
That's right.
Oh, okay. If you bought it for yourself, you're okay. But if you bought it for your business, you got to have a receipt. I
There
like
you
that.
go.
That's good, Matthew.
No receipt,
Yeah,
no
but-
deduction.
We're going
That's
to change
right.
the subject on that note. Hey,
I like
Matthew,
that. That's good.
Do
All
you have
right.
anything you want to talk about today? We're at the end of our half hour, but
I mentioned that Sarah and her husband have 2 early bird tickets to QuickBooks Connect. If anyone watches this and they want to go to QuickBooks Connect last minute, that means I think $197 or $199
$199.
for each ticket for 3 days, and that's nice. Now, the other thing, though, is if somebody wants to go to QuickBooks Connect, which is November 6th, 7th, and 8th, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, make sure you have a place to stay while you're there, because most all of the lodging is already booked up. So.
And I'm sorry, Matthew, were you ready to say something?
Yeah, it's Friday. I'm happy.
That's all that
Tomorrow's
counts,
Saturday.
right?
Very
That's
good.
all.
Thank you for joining us, Matthew.
Sorry I was late. Just wanted to pop in and say howdy. Missed everybody.
Great.
All righty then. We will see you all same time, same place next week.
Have a good
Happy
weekend.
Friday.
Next
Bye.
week.
Friday.